Hay peleas que tú sabes que van a ser buenas. ¿Entiendes?
Sí.
Y esta va a ser buena pelea. Pues, es lo que quiero, o sea, ponerle una cosa que él no haya visto para que salga lo mejor de él y también que salga lo mejor mío. Y vamos a ver qué Jake Paul tanto puede hacer. Entonces va a ser una pelea muy buena, va a ser una pelea donde vamos a...
Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. sends a clear warning message to Jake Paul, promising to show him something he's never seen before in the boxing ring. But the most shocking revelation comes from Anderson Silva, the only man to have fought both fighters, who is sending a crystal clear warning message to Jake Paul about the devastating power he's about to face.
My base is not correct. That's my coach saying my base is not correct, and that's I take the punch. But I don't feel knockout. I don't feel power, but I'm not.
Silva may have lost to Paul and beaten Chavez Jr., but he admits the Mexican has the more powerful punch. Speaking after his loss against Paul, the former UFC star said, "Jake could punch. My base is not correct. That's what my coach said. But I don't feel no knockout. I don't feel power, but I'm not in good balance, and that's how I take the punch." With Paul's incredible $60 million 0 cents boxing fortune on the line and bold claims comparing himself to Muhammad Ali, this fight is shaping up to be a defining moment.
If Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul, if he wasn't this YouTube guy,
Right.
he was just a boxer, and you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever, knock him out with one punch like that, you'd be like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's fucking for real. Because nothing about watching him fight screams like he's in over his head. If he wasn't that big YouTube star, you'd be like, that dude's got dynamite in his hands.
Stay with us as we break down these explosive warnings, the money, and what's really at stake in California. Let's start with the warnings that have the boxing world talking. Anderson Silva, the UFC legend who holds the unique distinction of fighting both Jake Paul and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., is sending a crystal clear message to the American YouTuber. Despite losing to Paul but defeating Chavez Jr., Silva admits something that should make Paul very nervous. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. has the more powerful punch.
The punch stats, you landed more power punches on him. It seemed as if, from watching the fight, for some of us anyway, that you were outboxing him. Did you feel like the scorecards were favoring you as you went into that final round, honestly?
Wow, I failed in the strategy. In the last round, the Jake take the good punch, and my base is not correct. That's my coach saying my base is not correct, and that's I take the punch. But I don't feel knockout. I don't feel power, but I'm not in good balance, and that's I take the punch. Of course, I have.
Here's what Silva said after his loss to Paul. "Jake could punch. My base is not correct. That's what my coach said, but I don't feel no knockout. I don't feel power, but I'm not in good balance, and that's how I take the punch." But when describing Chavez Jr.'s power, Silva's tone completely changed. "Wow, it's strong. He's a boxing guy, a traditional boxer. He comes from the traditional boxing family." This isn't just opinion, this is experience talking. Silva has felt both men's power firsthand, and his warning is clear. Paul hasn't faced anything like what's coming his way on June 28th. But Silva isn't the only one sending warnings. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. himself has a message for Jake Paul. In a recent Spanish interview, Chavez Jr. made his intentions crystal clear, saying, "There are fights that are going to be good, and this is going to be a good fight. I want to put something in front of him that he hasn't seen before so that the best comes out of him, and also the best comes out of me. We're going to see how much Jake Paul can do."
Hay peleas que tú sabes que van a ser buenas. ¿Entiendes?
Sí.
Y esta va a ser buena pelea. Pues, es lo que quiero, o sea, ponerle una cosa que él no haya visto para que salga lo mejor de él y también que salga lo mejor mío. Y vamos a ver qué Jake Paul tanto puede hacer. Entonces va a ser una pelea muy buena, va a ser una pelea donde voy a tratar de ganar.
Translation: Chavez Jr. is promising to show Paul a level of boxing he's never experienced. The son of boxing legend Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. comes from boxing royalty, a traditional boxing family where power and technique have been passed down through generations. Gabriel Silva, Anderson Silva's son, confirms the family's confidence. My dad is going for Chavez. I don't even know if he's ever been dropped. A guy like Jake might not have it to put him out.
Porque pienso que Jake Paul está incursionando al boxeo, realmente al boxeo. Ha peleado con algunos que no son fáciles, ¿verdad? Para su experiencia. Pero sí, realmente creo que el boxeo es un deporte de estilos, de un tipo ajedrez, y es lo que tenemos que plantearle a él, pues, porque no lo ha visto, o sea, realmente, por más que tú lo veas.
While warnings fly, let's talk about what Jake Paul has built and what he stands to lose or gain. Paul has made an astronomical $61,400,000 0 cents from his boxing career alone, and that's not even counting pay-per-view revenue shares that could add millions more.
I fucking guarantee you this. You ain't gonna see Jake Paul calling Anderson Silva out.
Well, I hope you can bet on this thing, because I'll bet $1 million
Oh, here we
that
go.
he loses this fucking fight.
The problem child.
His journey started in 2020 with a $1 million 0 cents payday against ANECOGB. His earnings fluctuated, sometimes as low as $600,000 0 cents against Nate Robinson, sometimes over $3 million 0 cents against Tommy Fury. But everything changed with the Mike Tyson fight in November 2024. Paul earned a reported $40 million 0 cents for that single bout, more than many world champions make in their entire careers.
Like this for his boxing career, and it's going pretty well. He's won every fight he's done.
And he made like $40 million last year.
Doesn't matter. He put it all in crypto. Oh, no. He's poor.
There will be no more Brock bottles by the time I'm done.
Dude, no, I'm so proud of Jake.
He's crushing it.
However, this Chavez Jr. fight presents a financial challenge. Unlike the Netflix broadcast Tyson bout, this fight is on DAZN pay-per-view. Paul's payday will depend heavily on how many people actually buy the fight. The stakes are clear. A loss here could derail the money train that's made Paul one of boxing's highest earners. As if the pressure wasn't enough, Paul recently made a statement that has the boxing world divided. "I'm the greatest thing to happen to boxing since Muhammad Ali," Paul declared, igniting fierce debate across sports circles.
I'm the greatest thing to happen to boxing since Muhammad Ali, and there's no even debating that.
At 28 years old, with a 10-1 record, Paul certainly knows how to generate headlines. His most valuable promotions company has revolutionized women's boxing, transforming fighters like Amanda Serrano from underpaid champions to some of the sport's highest earners. But Muhammad Ali? The three-time heavyweight champion, Olympic gold medalist, and global activist whose influence transcended sports for decades? Even Paul's supporters admit that's a bold comparison. Critics argue his fights are more entertainment than legitimate sport, especially pointing to the controversial Tyson exhibition that many viewed as scripted. The Chavez Jr. fight will test whether Paul's claims have substance or if he's about to face reality. Adding another layer of pressure, Paul is facing his toughest physical challenge yet.
And you're stepping into the ring with a former middleweight world champion. Why was this the right fight for you?
I think this fight's been brewing for quite some time now. The fans have wanted to see this, and I want to continue to elevate and rise my opponents. And this is a former world champion. He has an amazing resume, following in his dad's footsteps and, coming short, of course. But this guy is a great fighter, and I want to test myself against the best in the world.
13 days before the fight, Paul revealed he still needs to cut 13 pounds to make the cruiserweight limit for the Chavez Jr. bout. Moving down from the 227 pounds he weighed against heavyweight Mike Tyson to cruiserweight is no small task. Paul shared a photo of his sparse breakfast, just one piece of toast and scrambled eggs, captioning it, "Cutting weight breakfast. 13 days out, 13 more L." Weight cuts can drain a fighter's power and endurance, exactly what Paul can't afford against an opponent that Anderson Silva warns hits harder than anyone Paul has faced. This physical challenge adds yet another variable to a fight that's already Paul's biggest test. So what do the experts think will happen on June 28th? Anderson Silva's camp is backing Chavez Jr. As Gabriel Silva put it, a guy like Jake might not have it to put him out. It's going to be a good fight, but my dad is definitely going for Chavez. However, Paul does have supporters. UFC lightweight Justin Gaethje recently called Paul a genius for how he's navigated his boxing career. What he did is so awesome because nobody owns him, nothing owns him, and he didn't have to go through the AA, the whole circuit.
Celebrities,
I mean,
he hates it.
no, Jake Paul is a genius. No, it's what he did is so fucking awesome because nobody owns him, nothing owns him,
Making a lot of money.
and he didn't have to go through the AA,
circuit.
the whole circuit. I don't think it's gonna.
But even Gaethje questions the long-term sustainability of Paul's approach, noting that these big money fights lose a lot of money, whoever's paying for it. The consensus seems clear. This is Paul's moment of truth. Win, and his claims of being boxing's biggest phenomenon gain credibility. Lose, and the critics who've called him a sideshow will have their vindication. As we've seen tonight, the warning messages are loud and clear. Anderson Silva, who's felt both fighters' power, warns that Jake Paul hasn't experienced anything like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Daddy does all the talking. I didn't know it was bring your dad to work day. You're nothing without your dad. You were born with a silver spoon in your mouth.
You like old man. That's why I brought him, because maybe you like my dad.
Chavez Jr. promises to show Paul something he hasn't seen before, while Paul struggles with a difficult weight cut that could impact his performance. With $60 million 0 cents already earned and potentially millions more on the line, June 28th in California will determine whether Jake Paul's boxing journey continues its meteoric rise or hits its first major roadblock. Will the YouTube sensation prove his critics wrong, or will boxing's traditional power prevail? This is more than a fight. It's a collision between old-school boxing royalty and new-school entertainment boxing. We'll be covering every moment leading up to fight night. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time for more boxing news.